Really got to fix this gate one of these days. When I first rented this pasture, that was one of the things that I said I need to come fix like right away. And obviously almost 2 years later, I still haven't fixed it yet. It works how it is, but it probably should be fixed. Come on, boys. Oh my gosh. We might have got him. Come on, boys. Now they're going. What are we doing here? You know better than that. Go. Hey. Go to the gate. Yeehaw. Well, I don't know if I count that as a complete success, but we're definitely moving in the right direction. You can see we've got a fair amount of grass stockpiled out here. There's still a lot of good clover growing and a lot of desirable species for these guys to eat. It is definitely growing faster than they are eating it, but that is all about to change as the weather changes. My goal this year, or sort of my management style that I'm trying to implement, is I wanted to chop these pastures about midsummer to get all of that spring growth cut down where it was all headed out and they weren't eating it. And then sort of throughout the rest of the summer, let these desirable species start to pile up out here. And then when we get into September, October, maybe even November, there will be enough grass stocked out here so that I won't have to be bringing these guys hay. As well. With a strategy like this, you don't worry so much about how much tonnage is out here for them because we know that there's going to be plenty. What you need to be more concerned about is forage quality, because when the forage gets into this stage of growth, when it's really tall and it's got a seed head on it, the nutritional value actually goes down pretty significantly. There's enough quantity out here and a lot of desirable species, like I mentioned before, like this clover that has a lot of protein in it, that I think we can get away with doing this, but the key is going to be watching the steers. The steers will tell me when things are not right in their world. You saw like today, just now when I moved them, they could kind of care less about getting into a new pasture. When they start showing a lot of enthusiasm to go into the next pasture, that's when you know that things are getting a little slim out here. And at that point, we'll either start feeding hay or maybe bring like a protein block or a protein supplement or something like that for them out here. It'll just kind of depend on how things look or when that happens. What you need to keep in mind with these guys is that we're not feeding them just to keep them alive. We want them to grow. So we basically want to spoil them a little bit. Whereas a mother cow, depending on what stage of life she is in, you could put her on less desirable feed because you're not trying to put pounds on her, you're just trying to meet her daily requirements. We want to meet these guys' daily requirements and then some so that they can continue to grow. And growing is something that they certainly have been doing. I can tell just by looking at them how much bigger they are now than when we brought them. Sometimes that's difficult to do when you see them so often. And I've really got half a mind, in fact, I probably will do this, but when we really reach the end of the grazing season and I'm gonna start bringing them hay, I think I wanna bring these guys back home to the home ranch and weigh them all. And then I would love to know what a calculated daily gain is for each one of these steers on grass alone. I think it would be really interesting and just good knowledge for me to have to know what they can gain on grass and then bring them back here, start feeding them hay over the winter, and bring them home again at the end of that cycle and weigh them, see what they gained on hay over the winter. And then once again, weigh them right before their harvest date. And at that point, they will have lived through the spring flush out here and gotten to take advantage of all that good grass. And it would just be very interesting to see in those different stages of not so much their life, but the different stages of the pasture and what the pasture is doing to see what they can do with that. The only trouble with that is, you guys know the loading situation out here. It's not so easy to just pop these guys into a trailer and bring them home. So I would like to at least do it once, but I don't know if I'll end up weighing them at every stage along the way. These guys are all taken care of. Let's run back home and see what other kind of trouble we can get into. Back at home now, and as you can see, the poultry have done a number on this grass where we've got them, so it's time to move this net. This is gonna be a little bit difficult because I don't really have like a way to contain the birds while we're moving the pen. So I've been thinking about how to do this, and two things come to mind. Number one, if I had some sort of enclosure like a chickshaw or whatever you want to call it, you know, we could have just locked them up in there this morning and moved the net and turned them loose into the new area. Or if I had a second net, I could just make the new pen. I don't have either one of those things. So we got to figure out something different. And the more I think about it, the more it's just one of those things. I think you just start doing it and you figure it out as you go. And if some of these birds get loose, they're not going to go far and we can catch them. Well, at this point, I've really only managed to keep the turkeys contained. The chickens are just free roaming right now. So it was basically impossible to do this any other way. So I want to get this pen completed and then I'll worry about trying to catch these chickens. Okay, so everything is roughly set up now. I've got a big opening in the side. I'm hoping I can just kind of herd these chickens right around and walk them in here. You're doing it. Okay, hopefully those stay there. Another one down. No, not that way. Well, the new pen is set up. All of the birds are in their respective areas, and I guess in that regard, this was a success. But what I've learned today is that I never want to do it like this again, because it just gets a little chaotic and it's hard to move the net, and getting tangled up and chasing birds is just not ideal. So I need to either buy another roll of net or make a house or both or something, but we're not going to do it this way again. It's pretty crazy what they can do in, I'm not sure how long they've been out here, a week or maybe a week and a half. I see absolutely no sign of any peaches or apples or any other sort of fruit on the ground, and they've done a number on this grass as well. Next thing I want to tackle today is this four-wheeler. Since getting this thing up and running last year, I've ended up using it a lot more than I planned on, which is awesome. And the old girl's starting to show her age in some ways. I've noticed there's a little bit of play and noise in the steering, and you know, that's kind of bad if that fails. So I think I know what the problem is. Let's pick this thing up and take a look. So I suspect that the bearing on the bottom of the steering stem has gone out. When I move the wheels a little bit, I can kind of see this thing moving. Yeah, see how much that moves. Probably shouldn't move at all. Now I need to slide that steering stem up far enough so that I can access where the bearing should be. It looks like it's going to come out in pieces. So I think the easiest way to do this is to take the handlebars off And then I think that steering stem will just slide out. I think everything that is connected to it that would prevent it from doing that is connected to the handlebars. So let's try that. The steering stem has this bushing here. We got the top cap off. Now the bottom cap is kind of just hanging there. But I think that will give me enough room to slide this up. We might have a clearance issue with the tie rods and the A-arm, but I want to try to slide it first because we got almost an inch so we can go up. So hopefully I don't have to take the tie rods off as well, but we're gonna find out. Something happened. Well, as you might be able to see, we did slide out a little bit, but not enough. And now the tie rods are hitting. So tie rods got to come off. All right, let's try it again. There we go. We've got a snap ring in here that's a little rusty. I'm putting up a fight. I think we got it. I think I just got it. Wow, we did it. Finally got that snap ring out of there. That was, I wasn't sure I was gonna be able to get it. But now that it's out of the way, we should be able to just tap that bearing out. Might need a bigger hammer. Something happened there. Got it. Old bearing is finally out. Now we just got to get the new one in. Because this bearing has to push down from the top, there's really no way to get in there with a hammer to drive it in like that. So I'm gonna have to come up with some kind of a makeshift puller, or it's not really a puller. I guess it is a puller. So this is what I've got. From the top, I've got this long carriage bolt with a socket on it. This is 1 1/16 inches, which happens to be the same diameter of this bearing, roughly. Actually, I should have it like that. Yeah, like that. So we'll put the bearing on the shaft, and then we'll run the shaft down through the hole, and I can tighten up on the bottom, and as I tighten, it's gonna suck that bearing right down where it needs to go. Hopefully. It's like that. Now on the other side of the puller, I need some spacers. That should work good there. And we'll get this snugged up and straighten it out, but this is the idea. From here on out, reassembly is just the opposite of disassembly, so I'll throw this back together, take it for a spin, and see if we fixed it. Feels better. Everything's back together now. Let's take this thing out for a rip. Wow, what a difference. I'm actually surprised at how much I can feel it. It's not really so much while you're turning, it's more while you're going in a straight line. There's just almost no bump steer, and I guess I didn't realize how much I was feeling that before. Well, I guess now this thing's ready to go for another 20 years. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.